I saw an interview recently with Glennon Doyle, and it was very impactful to me. So I'm thinking about that, and my mind is going in some, kind of expansive directions with it. And what she was talking about is disappointment and reframing disappointment with her children and encouraging it in essence. And so she's using this word to say an appointment in terms of a placement, a position that is earned, a rightful place of power or authority over, I guess I'd say. Maybe I don't want to say power over, but authority, a rightful position. Like this, you've been appointed to this position, right? You've been appointed to this position. You are in the appointment of your own sovereignty and decision making. And from that lens, teaching it is okay, and more than that, sometimes proper, to disappoint others. I'm removing you from the appointment of authority on this matter. Disappointment. In order to know that you can move in empowerment, knowing not everyone is going to be supporting and approving of the moves you make that are in soul alignment. And the more and more comfortable you become with that, the more magnetic your energy is and authentic your frequency is. And ideally, you start to see your soul tribe coming closer, so that I'm thinking of concentric circles, right? So that your inner circle is comprised of that mirror effect of people who are supporting, feeding, nurturing those things that are in soul alignment for you, the decisions that you're making, the way that you're moving in your life. And on those outer, mid and outer circles is where the energy of people or like contrasting opinions that are not in alignment for you are going to exist. And so it's a skill, in essence, to know how to disappoint someone. And the balanced energy on the other side of that is we're keeping ourselves in that appointment that we need to be in. Because you are the only one who's going to the most clearly have the ability to hear the whispers of your soul, feel the intuition in your body, and the calling in your heart. And at times, you are going to hit moments in your life where you're the only one who is hearing that. And can you surround yourself with people, or can we encourage in our children the recognition of when that's happening so that they stay in soul alignment and choose themselves? And that requires the skill of discernment and staying in true power, even when there is a potentially crushing sense of peer pressure or social desirability involved in it. And as a former, or I'll say that this is a more appropriate, as a recovering people pleaser myself, I am realizing more and more things that have themed in these discussions, in these recordings, around your relationship to yourself truly being the epicenter of every other relationship you have, of all the other connections, of the potentials for love and intimacy, right? And so I say this in terms of I dishonor myself if I am abandoning self in effort to garner connection with you. What I feel I need or want feels to be in contrast with what I think you need or want. And when that comes head to head, there have been times in the past where I have abandoned myself and chosen to prioritize the other person. And what happens? That's such an illusion. It's such an illusion, because the thing that is happening there is I'm separating from myself. It's me versus me, right? And I'm thinking to myself, in order to be in more connection or to be in an okay status with you, I need to ignore this part of me or self-abandon. Correct, right? There's a chasm inside of me, between myself. I'm out of soul alignment. I'm out of authenticity. That's not my intention. It wasn't my intention at the time, but that's what happens. That moves you out of authenticity. And how can you genuinely experience a level of intimacy and love and connection with another being if you are in separation with self? Impossible. Can't be done, right? And so here's where I think there's room for some accountability. And I don't want that word to sound harsh, because the very nature of people pleasing has strong undertones of, I'd say, a lot of people in that category are labeled as highly sensitive individuals. And that, would I put myself in that category? Would I call myself a highly sensitive individual? Absolutely. Is that a problem? No, it's not. It's information. And when you have that information and you come into a greater sense of healing and soul alignment, boom, superpower, right? I am so grateful to have that ability of attunement, of intuition, of energetic connection. I can link up with people. And this is a part of the psychic mediumship, intuitive healing that comes through. Like, I am linking into their energy field, and that requires a level of high sensitivity. And I'm doing this like moving with frequency, knowing how to dance with that or harness it, maybe is a better word to say. And yet again, there's insight and self-reflection, and there's a lot of journeying through the ability to hold yourself, the ability to maintain this divine union within, that sacred balance of your own energies. The more and more I journey through this and arrive at a greater sense of wholeness in myself and continue to navigate those paths with the people that I work with, wow, the more my mind is just really, or maybe I want to say my mind and my heart, my whole being is just coming into this awareness and recognition of the mirroring effect. I'm thinking so much, if not all, of what I am experiencing in relationships is lessons to bridge the gap between myself and these times where there's a lot of energy around fears of abandonment, attachment wounds from childhood, which are legitimate, real, deserve healing. There's no accountability there for the childhood. I want to rephrase that. When you're a child, you are dependent, and there is genuine helplessness in some of those situations we experience, and our neural pathways are being wired based on the environment we're in, and that's proper developmental neuroanalogy reality, right? And the accountability comes in when we are grown and our environment has shifted and we're no longer dependent, and the opportunity for healing becomes more available, the opportunity for awareness and doing things differently becomes an option, so that we're not looping and cycling through these trauma reenactments in our relationships that are based on these wounds we had with our primary caregiver. You know, seeking out somebody who is emotionally unavailable, if you had that in one of your parents, and now the brain is trying to conquer that, and the conquering leads to the replaying it, because this time we want to win this level of this game. Retry. And as you do more of that healing internally, and we put a sacred pause to the reenactments, this is where you realize the illusions of that scenario. Are you exhausted from playing a game that you'll never win? Let's reframe. Let's come home to ourselves. And as that healing happens, where we see, oh my goodness, this version of myself, like I feel like all of the versions of myself that I've ever been at once. I feel like the 5-year-old version, the 10-year-old, the 16-year-old, 22-year-old, the 30-year-old, right? I feel like all of, and who I am right now, I feel like all of those versions at exactly the same time. And that is a sign of a feeling of timeline collapsing as you really come into union with yourself and you heal those gaps that were those pockets of space that were put between you and you, right? Start to bubble up out of the top, and now we're in this greater sense of self-love and wholeness. And then you realize how some of the things we felt we were fearful of were created from the space in between. They weren't actually coming from the space between us and another person. It was from this. That created the fear, this gap between me and myself. That's abandonment. And so when you don't have that anymore, there's nothing to fear. And can you experience real things, emotions? You know, there's going to be things that happen in your life. Obviously, there's going to be loss and grief and change and movement, excitement, new things, anxieties. You're still here to live this life. But when you're able to do it in this kind of a way, there's just way less foreboding joy. And that is something that Brene Brown speaks to beautifully. This sense of, I can't trust to experience joy or good things in my life because the fear of loss, separation, abandonment, the other shoe dropping sensation is so looming that it seems to come, the closer joy comes to me, the bigger this dark shadow of fear of losing that joy seems to you take one step, it takes one step, right? And then it becomes a little bit impossible to be in presence and to experience joy. We're perpetually planning, protecting, on guard. We're not living in presence with the joyful heart that you see in a child who's 3 or 4 before they've put on the cloak of all of these fears and illusions, right? And that's what we deserve, is to, I'm thinking of when you realize you need glasses for the first time when you're a child or whatnot, and you get those glasses and you go, oh my goodness, look at all the veins in every single one of these leaves, and everything in the world is more vibrant, and the color of the sky is more beautiful. And this is taking off the foggy lenses that the separation between you and yourself has created. And so I'm able to fully take in my experiences with this person because I know I cannot be abandoned. That's an illusion. I will honor myself. I know that true love comes from my union within my own being, and that's the essence of love that I am created from. I will not drop it for any reason. There's no reason. The illusion that was perpetuating me dropping that was that I needed to do that to garner connection and safety. And that is so false now at this place I am in my life, and with the healing that I have done to arrive at this wholeness. I won't move in a relationship in any type of way that makes me feel dishonored. I won't leave myself. I will not abandon myself. I had a beautiful EMDR session with a client last week, and this conversation, guidance came out between her higher self and her inner child. That was light bulb moment and massive relief, just, and this was what was coming up, right? Is I know I have moved in ways in the past in relationships that were out of alignment with what I deserved, what I wanted and needed. And this divine goddess energy in me is telling me she is here with me and I can trust what I feel, and that I am fully capable of honoring that. And that removes the separation between self and allows this person to have relationships with other people where she is showing up as her true self with more authenticity, rather than with this, I fear that I will lose myself in relationships. And so I show up with a shy, guarded presentation and I try to make myself small. And when you know that person is nothing to fear, it was the fear of you betraying yourself that was showing up as that anxiety. And now you have such a different level of deep self-trust. I trust myself to show up for myself in every now moment. And I will not deny anything that I am feeling, wanting, needing, because I'm so in realization that that is an illusion. How can I have the intimacy? How can I have the love? How can I have the respect that I seek in my relationships with other people if I left myself behind when I closed the door to leave my house? Right? You deserve more than that. And so, coming around full circle, this is the skill to disappoint people and bolster ourselves up into that position of empowerment and trust. I trust my heart, I trust my intuition, and I will not betray that. And now you can trust me. And what magnetizes and draws near and is attracted into my sphere into my orbit, I trust. And anything that shows up that I realize isn't supposed to be there or had a time sensitive nature to it will immediately begin to experience repulsion at the divine time if and when the frequency changes from me and becomes no longer soul aligned. And this puts you in an ability to live in presence, to reckon with this notion that true love, you already have it.